RMSO Bigfoot. Giant Sagamook Sasquatch confronts terrified family. Maurice writes RMSO. Hello, I'm from Texas, and this sighting happened in 2008 in New Brunswick. At this time, I was 57 years old, and my grandchildren were only 6, 8, and 9 years old. I traveled to New Brunswick to visit my daughter, son-in-law, and my 3 grandchildren. During the second week with them, we already had done everything possible to pass the time, and my son-in-law drove us to a place that, if I remember correctly, was called Mount Carlton Park, to have a picnic in a campground in that area. Everything was all right until around 3 p.m. when my 8-year-old grandson Billy said that he saw a gorilla in the bushes. I just found it weird because there are no ape types in North America, and Billy was just a kid, and he certainly didn't know that. But he was saying that over and over, pointing to some tall bushes about 80 yards from us. I had a gun in my holster, so I was prepared to take it out in case it was a black bear. I stood up and approached the tall bushes, and when I was just 6 yards away from it, it emerged from the tall bushes. Something that I can only describe as a giant furry man, walking perfectly on all fours. The distance was enough for me to tell that his skull was way bigger than mine, and its shoulders were extremely wide and had a bunch of apish features. The only things human about its face was only the nose and its ears, because the rest really resembled an ape of some kind. The forehead, the dark brown eyes, the wide mouth, the thick neck, the furry silverish gray body with some chunks of it being brown, and the light gray skin. Everything was off about this creature, and it was standing on its fists. Not knuckles, fists. And yet, its back was straight. Nothing like a gorilla, and way bigger than a gorilla. There is just no comparison. The height at all fours was 6'4" tall. I wanted to pull the gun from my holster, but my family was back there. If I missed the shot, everybody was going to be in danger. Then the creature stood up. And I don't know how tall it was at that moment because there was only bushes as a reference, but it was literally a giant. It made a low-pitched sound that I can't describe exactly. Then I turned around and ran to the picnic area and just yelled to everyone, "Get inside the van!" We got inside the van and I turned the car on, and I saw that the thing followed me and was just 20 yards from the van. I could tell the height now because of the trees. It had to be at least 12 feet tall because it was taller than some of the smaller trees. I wasn't believing in the size of the man creature. When my grandchildren saw that from the inside of the van, they screamed. My daughter and son-in-law were paralyzed and shocked. I got us out of that place as soon as possible. I know I wasn't hallucinating because everybody saw what I saw, and my grandson Billy saw it first from the distance. So I'm writing this because I always wanted to ask somebody that understands about this type of topic. Was me and my family being observed by a skunk ape or a Sasquatch? RMSO responds, "Hi Maurice. Wow, that thing was huge. The species of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, skunk ape, or whatever the locals call it in certain area seem to get larger the further north you get. Of course they aren't born 8 feet tall. Sounds like you all must have seen a full-grown adult male." Maurice continues, "I talked to my daughter about the incident and she said that when I was driving us out of there, I was only looking forward and I wasn't looking back. I remember them screaming as I was driving the car on the dirt road. I couldn't be too fast because I could crash the car. But I was going over 30 miles an hour and my daughter said that the creature was following us on all fours at a fast pace walking, not running, and stopped 2 minutes after and just vanished. I still get disturbed on how big and stealthy that thing was. And fast, too." RMSO responds, "The size and color and temperament of this Bigfoot you described reminds me of one that charged a family near a remote cabin in Nova Scotia, just south of New Brunswick. They described a giant grayish creature over 10 feet tall that was very bulky with man-like features. This also happened in 2008, September of that year."